What's going on, guys? Jared. Today we're going through and exposing why customer service agents can't really help you. Please be first to make sure you guys like, follow, and subscribe to the channel. I cover all kind of topics here on the channel, anything from customer service to working from home. So if you're trying to look for work from home job or you're not sure how to do that, maybe you recently got one and you're not used to having to do the tech stuff like that, I'll cover all that kind of stuff. Let me know down below in the comments, guys, what other videos you guys would like to see this related to things like that. I'll also go to cover personal development. We'll go over some finances and stuff like that here on the channel. Kind of a wide variety of topics. With that being said, guys, we'll go ahead and dive in. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the comments down below. Let's get started. So the first one, right, the agents are required to do too much on the phone calls, right? This really depends on the client that you're working for, right? Some clients are more, right, you have more leeway to do things and things like that. So this is really just depends on the, the client themselves, or if you're working like directly for the person. So from like a client, so let's say like whoever you're calling, it could be like AT&T, whoever it is that you're calling for customer service, right? They would be the clients. If I reference client, just think of the person that you're calling on the phone to get help with your customer service. It could be your internet provider, it could be your cable provider, your phone provider, whatever the case it may be, whatever you're calling for your internet, whatever it is, right? So we have a lot of different things that could cause, there's just too much for them to do, right? So we have all these other metrics they're required to do, right? They've got the call flow, right? We've heard it over the, the years, stop reading the script, things like that. And some of that is true, right? They do have a script, but a lot of the time, I said a good portion of the time, right? Agents have some leeway of what they can do with the script. Just the client has like certain things they have to hit, like key talking points could be like, if we want to go over the app or a new product that we're releasing, something like that, or some changes, right, that they have go along with the business that they want us to go through and, communicate to you as the customer when you're calling in. Another one too is, right, we've got to get all these things done as far as the call flow, the script. Maybe if it's troubleshooting, right, we're troubleshooting your tech issues, or if it's some of that, a lot of times we're doing service to sales, especially with tech these days. So, right, we're having to upsell you too. So we're having to ask probing, clarifying questions, and also build a personal connection with you on that, right? Because we like to have what we call in customer service that wow type experience or call. So that being said, right, all that's going to go in, and depending on what you're calling in, it could be something as simple as your bill, or something maybe as complex as, like I mentioned, maybe to more text, maybe heavy tech support, or maybe about your insurance, things like that. I've worked on all those kinds of accounts over the years. So some of those accounts, more the simpler accounts like billing, something like that, they usually have where they can only spend 3.5 minutes to about 5.5 minutes with you as the customer. Outside of that, they're spending too much time with you. Yet again, these are on average time, so of course sometimes they're going to go over that with you, right? If you can tell the customer service agent is trying to get things going, right? That's why we're asking you these questions. We've got everything, so you're searching for all this stuff, things like that. It really hurts from the experience from you and from us as well, and it's putting the agent more under stress. And depending on the quality of the agents and the tenure of agents, that's going to some sort of conflict. The next one is, right, basically having to de-escalate you, the caller itself, right? Sometimes we get you as the caller, right? You've called in 4 times. I've had taken these calls many times over the years, would be as a manager, an agent, or just as a SME that's taken an escalation for an agent. All right, the customer's called in, they spoke to 4 different people, or hey, maybe they call in, they have this repeated problem all the time, we just fixed it, they're calling back in, maybe after the tech came out, we had the same issue, we replaced the device or the service, whatever it may be, and use the customer still having the same problem. Right, we have all this kind of baggage that comes in at the start of the call. Right, so you want to be careful of what you're doing, right? It's right. We definitely you want to. I'm not saying you can't vent or something like that, but keep in mind, right, when you get too far out there where you're not, right, you can't be reasoned or rationed with. Now you're the victim of your own upsetness, right? And when I try to take these escalations, I try and get customers to kind of see, like, hey, I'm here with you. We're going to support you, get to the end. But not everyone's able to do that, right? And some customers are so far gone, you can't even do that. So just be mindful of that. Because I don't spend too much topic on that. Let me know if you guys let me do a specific video on that. But right, when you're just too far gone, you're too upset, and we can't even help you. Sometimes we'll even tell you guys to call back. So just kind of keep that in mind next time you call customer service and you're too upset. All right, dive into number 4, guys. So training doesn't reflect the live environment or what the job is like. So what I mean, this is a few different things. Some of the times, right, the policies have changed and training just doesn't know. Like I said, I've done this for 12 years. I can think many of times, whether it be because I worked on-site and remote, so I can say the same for whether it be on-site within the company or remote with my personal experience. It really didn't matter, right? A lot of the times training was not updated. Usually operations that's running the account itself is running basically the business itself for the most part, other than us managers that are doing more of the hands-on day-to-day stuff, but they're doing more of the over outlook of the business, just to kind of layman's terms. So things like that will change, and sometimes operations or the client, whoever it may be, a mixture of both, will not tell training. So training will go through and do, training like it normally does, but guess what? We no longer do this. This policy was changed a month ago, and sometimes they won't find out for like 3-6 months. I've noticed in my experience over the 12 years. And next thing you know, right, we've trained all these people, and they get out to what we call OCP, right, where they're practicing taking phone calls the first time. They're speaking to you as the customer for the very first time, and you, the customer, could tell, hey, they're new, they don't know what they're doing, but that's right. They've been trained on the misinformation, right? We had to, then pull them back and re-educate them and stuff like that. So it's a problem for you and a problem for us. So that's another thing as well. Another one as well that's very big, and a problem with this specific one that I want to talk about is agents don't have access to, kind of pinpoint the last part I talk about, they don't have access to practice things before speaking to you, the customer, the first time. So what I mean by that is we have things what's called emulators. So an emulator, basically, if you're not familiar with what an emulator is basically like, picture, like, let's say you want to do something on your iPad, but let's say you don't want to mess up the settings on your iPad. Well, you can go and type in Google and type in iPad emulators, something like that, just for a quick example, and you can go through there and basically practice with, Chasms is one that we've used for work. Chasms.com is a perfect one that we've used over the last 12 years that I've been in customer service for things like this, right? So you could play around or walk the customer through, because a lot of times we don't have screenshots to see what you guys see it, depending on the client. So things like that. So when you guys are getting them, and so these systems are very difficult. The more than you, the customer, think. They're very in-depth. They're very touchy. They're very sensitive. They're very, a lot of these are built from like 2005, early to late 2005. So a lot of them are old systems. Not saying that's always the case or the particular issue per se, but right, some of them are so involved, I think is the best way to articulate it, that it's not something to you it seems like it's simple, it's that quick, it's easy. It's not that on our side. Like, I had this conversation with my mother the other day, like with her issue, and we'll probably dive into that in another video, with like her internet provider disconnected her phone service that she's had over 30 plus years. She's had the phone number longer than I've been alive, but they up and disconnected it. So she went back, basically called them back, long story short, eventually got it back. But it's not in the bundle, and I had to go through and articulate with them more than likely why they didn't put it back in the bundle. If that's another video you guys would like me to talk about stuff like that, or internet providers, I've worked with some of the largest ones in the country. I can do a good video on that as well. But that's a good one to talk about that. So I just want you guys to realize when you get to one of the phones, so if they're taking a while to get back to you, they're probably waiting for someone to help you. So that's number 4 reasons why customer service agents can't help you when you call. So, all right, so for number 3, guys, these are for lack of support. So this can be a few different things, usually in my experience that I've noticed over the years. Usually lack of support comes in ways as we have no support whatsoever on the campaign. So what I mean by that is it's left to myself and my colleagues to answer the agent's questions. So let's say we have an account, usually when this happens, we'll say there's like 80 to, we'll say 150 people on the phones talking to you as the customer. Well, right, I'm the manager, right, so I'm responsible for how many people that's here for my team, and the same for my colleagues, peers and all that good stuff as well. Well, guess what? While I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do as a manager, we're having to answer their questions. A lot of times, we honestly just don't have the time to help them. That's just being honest. And the agents know this as well, too, and that's the part of the problem. So that's why sometimes, right, they're putting you on hold. It's taking a while for them to come back. They're coming back with little to no information. Or they're just keeping you on hold for 10 to 15 minutes straight, right? I've had to get on people for that personally that's done stuff like that. That's what's going on, guys. There's no support. There's no support, or there's so much chaos that this person isn't getting help. They could be new, just don't know what they're doing. Your situation could be unique in need. Maybe like someone like, veteran such as myself, and come in and take a look at it. And that's why you're not able to get the assistance you need. We just don't have the support. So when you call in, you can tell it by the person you speak to on the phone. Don't mean necessarily they're doing a bad job. It's just they're not getting the help they need to help you as the customer. So for number 2, guys, so the next reason why we're going to dive into is basically tools. This could be numerous different things. Some of this, right, for example, so basically, the one thing I've noticed is some clients have specifically like a tool that we'll go through, especially with troubleshooting, right? We'll go through and follow the line of question, go through it, and basically the agent's required to go verbatim through it. So sometimes, right, the information could be in these tools have wrong information. So like, for example, I won't name the client specifically. So like, for example, when we go to get to part of the question of the line and going through it, it would tell the customer to call back in 7 days. Well, guess what happens when they call back in 7 days? The agent goes through the same flow again, because the customer's, right, having the same issue, because we didn't do anything particularly to rectify this issue when they called last time. Well, it tells them to call back in 7 days. So it's things like that where sometimes where the client has like things where it doesn't resolve you as the customer's issue, and we're forced to go through it whether we know it's right or wrong, right? Because if not, we get in trouble for the client by not following this. Now this person's, going to get in trouble and may end up also losing their job and not be able to feed themselves or their family. So please make sure you guys keep that in mind when you're talking to a customer service rep. It's not always, particularly bad training or something like that. But there's other stuff going on, which is why I made this video for you, the customer, to see more stuff that's going on the back end for you to empathize more with the person on the phone. Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong, but just for you, the customer, to understand what's going on with the person on the other end of this phone call, right? Another thing too, right, is knowledge systems that a lot of these clients have. Most of them over the years I've been on probably 9 or 10 different clients. I have to sit and think. Exactly, but most of them are trash, right? You can't find the answer. It's supposed to be. They always say it's like Google. It's never like Google. It's rare that you do. It's maybe 2 or 3 accounts that I've been on in over 10 plus years that have been. It's actually like Google. I made this video not to bash either, my industry or you as the customer. I want, both parties to be able to see where both parties are coming. So I made this more for you, the consumer, to see what's really happening, like I mentioned earlier in the video, really what's going on behind, closed doors in a sense, what's going on with the person that you have on the phone. So keep that in mind. That's what I made this video was, not to talk down about any company, previous client that I've worked for, anything like that. Is just simply to educate both parties so we can come together and make the customer experience more enjoyable for both parties. It's easier on the customer's rep side, and it's easier for you, the customer, calling in to whatever company that you're calling with, regardless how big or small that company is, okay? All right, with that being said, guys, we'll go ahead and dive in. So the number one reason, in my personal opinion, is why customer service agents can't help you is due to the basically call center policies or the client themselves. So I figured I left this one for last because, right, this is the one that we can do absolutely nothing about, in a sense. We can give feedback. I've been in private sessions with clients, operations, things like that over the years, to give feedback and try and help which I've made some headway. I can say that. I won't name any specific cases here, but that's something, yet again, we can dive in other discussion videos. But things like that. So for example, certain clients have basically a credit limit. So we have what's called a license to credit. So basically, if the agent, let's say you call in and you need a $20 or $40 credit, or maybe we overcharge you, something like that. There's only so much credit a lot of the times the agents are allowed to give. If they go over it, they lose their right to credit. So sometimes when you call in, and let's say you maybe can't get the credit, sometimes you could be getting denied just because that agent has been given too much money, and we've myself as a manager told them to quit crediting accounts or start giving more pushback and doing the proper procedures going forward, because that's the way they're only going to fix it, is eventually basically by fixing it is by not giving someone else the credit and then following the correct process of what they should have been doing originally, is only giving credit out when they should. Well, in certain cases, sometimes some accounts can offer customers back. So if you're wondering why the customer service never call you back, maybe they don't offer callbacks to their customers, right? They're wanting you constantly calling back, or it could be because, right, they have such a high call volume, they don't have the ability to call out because they just don't have the staffing to call you back, to be honest. So a few different, things, variables that could be this. It could be they offer callbacks, and maybe the customer rep you spoke with just was a bad representative and they didn't call you back. Because so just because they promised to call you back doesn't necessarily mean they could call you back. More than likely they can. I'd say it's rare that a client's policy is not to call a customer back. Usually it's almost always to call the customer back, but some campaigns we don't have that ability. Like the phone won't even let us dial out. When you're going to escalate, right, a lot of the times it's not going to do you any good, right? So that's one of the reasons I included this one in here. Because, right, if the person you spoke to previously did their job, when you get me or someone that's another person it's usually rare that you're going to get an actual manager such as myself on the phone immediately. Sometimes that happens, but usually it's going to be the support person that we talked about previously. They're going to be the ones taking the calls and handling you. It's not going to be me unless you escalate. Then sometimes you'll get me, or I'll offer you a call back when I have time, because a lot of the times, yet again, we're busy, we're in a meeting or something like that, we're coaching agents, we're looking at your surveys, we're doing all that stuff. So it's rare that you're going to instantly get someone like me. More than likely, we're going to offer you a call back if it's someone in my stature that's, it's a manager that's giving you a call back. So kind of keep that in mind. Not saying don't escalate, like I said, I'll make a whole nother video on that, but just make sure you're being careful and really listen to the person. You can tell that, hey, they really know what they're doing, and you don't like the answer. Speaking to me or the person below me that they send you to, that's not going to help you. They're going to give you the same answer because that's the correct answer and that's the process, and that's what needs to be done to get you taken care of. Doesn't matter if you like it or not. That's a story for another day, another video for another day. So just kind of keep that in mind, because your situation is what it is. The resolution doesn't change just because you don't like the resolution as a customer, right? I get you don't like it, and we can discuss and things like that and what we can do to maybe make that process better, things like that. That's different. But as far as today, what needs to be done is this. I understand you don't like it, but that's what has to be done. Not having access to certain things, we're not the ability to do certain things, right? Some things I've heard certain customers, well, hey, I need you to call over to so-and-so, call over to another department. I need you to call so-and-so. They're giving you their name, sometimes extension. A lot of the times, like in my experience, we don't have extensions. Even like for myself as a manager, I don't have an extension that you can call and reach me at directly if you spoke with me previously. Things like that, especially if you're speaking for someone like myself, like third party. Even if it's not third party, a lot of customer service, you're not going to get someone that has an extension. It's usually like if I need to follow up or I want to follow up with another customer after something's happened, I'll offer a follow-up call back, and then just call them back. Things like that. But that's it, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about my 5 reasons why when you're calling customer service, the agent's not able to help you. Let me know if that makes sense. Hopefully I was able to expose why, when you call customer service, you're having issues getting your situation taken care of. If you guys made the video, please make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.